Transformation gonna go hard.
Welcome to the next ship box.
I don't know, boys. Let's see how she turns out.
Off of my side?
Oh, that's a lot better.
Cause she's
That's
flush.
fillable. That's fillable.
All right, but on my side, she still got some work to do.
We got her drip rail is fixed. We're putting in a roll pan right now. We're gonna kind of like a weld in, bondoed in roll pan, seamless, so there won't be no lines, nothing like that. That's what we're doing right now. And then if we can get that done today, this thing is getting primered today, which will be perfect.
This side needs to drop down on the right. Tell me when it's level. Drop that down.
Then that end needs to go up. So this would be the same thing. Raising this end up would be the same as dropping that.
Got it screwed in. Come on, Nate. Do I need to teach you how to weld?
Yeah, I guess so.
I don't want to put the hood on yet. Ground's
Hit
not
the
good.
ground. Hit the ground and see if it does it.
Alright, she get hot now. You might need to put this in the sun.
There we go. Tacked. So now we'll get that body line right.
No, and ain't got to do it now.
Now this side, got to do the same thing on it. Push it in, tack it. Looking Gucci. So I had to run over to the paint store, get some supplies, got some primer and clear coat, and then one of the needles was bent in our paint gun, so went and had to get that fixed. Got some, you know, sandpaper and a few different things. But on my way back, they said they got the bumper welded in. We shall see when we get back. Hopefully they got her all fiberglassed, everything ready to go. That way here in another hour or so we can sand her down. And my goal is to have that truck primered completely today. We're gonna do 2 coats of primer and then block it back down and then just kind of flatten it back out, and then we're probably gonna shoot it. We're just gonna kind of see where we get along. I had on my 4th gen a wheel bearing go bad, so also picked up a wheel bearing while I was at O'Reilly's, and that way I can get that fixed. But yeah, we got primer, clear coat. We are ready to shoot this 1st gen very soon. Hopefully within the next 2 days or so, it is painted. That is the goal. The guy opted, originally he did not want the roll pan welded in. He just wanted it kind of just screwed in and just kind of hanging there. But I was like, I mean, it's totally up to you, man. And I think he made the decision that he wanted it to be welded out and, you know, a seamless finish, which will look so much better than just screwed in. But it did add another day into the time, just because we're not gonna be able to primer and wet sand today and then shoot it in the morning, you know. It added a little bit more time, but nothing crazy. It will be worth it for sure. It's gonna look a lot better being welded in like this. So yeah, I'm gonna get back to the shop and see where we are on things. Then hopefully we can get that done and primer. So we got the roll pan in, all the body work for the most part done. I'm sure we're gonna have to do a little touch up once we get the primer on, but here she is. We got the floor soaked, everything ready to go. So yeah, roll pan turned out awesome. Love how that turned out. So hopefully by the end of it, can't tell looks just like a part of the bed, but we shall see. And then we got the tailgate. We'll have to paint it. We'll paint it later after the truck's probably even done. We'll do it very last because I want to do this. I want to paint in here. This is all getting bed linered, so it don't matter anyway. But we welded these in instead of screwed, and then that's welded and then fiberglassed and bondoed. And yeah, you cannot tell, but I wanted to get this whole painted so when you open the tailgate it wasn't white. But yeah, looks really good. I'm thrilled with how it came out. Cannot tell at all. That's what we were looking for. So this thing looks awesome. So ready to see it done. It's getting painted back to the somewhat original factory blue. I don't know exactly. The guy brought the paint. I know it's somewhat the same. But yeah, she is ready for primer. We got the first level base down. On the passenger side, getting ready to shoot the whole thing. First level of clear or color. Gonna look good. Got the first layer of base down for the most part. Refilling the gun right now, but it's looking good. This primer is definitely light in this color, so we're definitely gonna have to do 4 or 5 coats to get the proper color. But it's looking good. First, I think we're about done base coating. We got a little bit more to do, but for the most part, it's colored. Got to do this a little bit more. Right there is definitely thin, so. This is 1-to-1 paint, which makes it really hard to fill. It's super, super thin, which don't like to like fill in, you know, any imperfections at all. So. Have our final base coat in. The guy brought me 1-to-1 paint, which I hate. It's such watered down thin, which leaves some light spots in it, which right there you're seeing is the light reflecting off of it. But like right here, you can kind of see just kind of a light spot, and we've literally used all the paint that we have trying to fill this in. There's like 7 coats. This 1-to-1 stuff, it just, if your primer ain't exactly perfect, it just lays good, but it's not uniform just because of how thin it is. You got to do a lot of coats, but it looks good. I'm definitely happy with the body lines and this roll pan. Looks awesome. I think that the clear coat is gonna kind of darken it all up, make it more uniform, and right now it's still flashing, so that will cause a lot of the waves in it with the coloring, you know, being darker and lighter spots. But for right now, I think it's gonna turn out. I wish we'd have got 2-to-1 paint. 2-to-1 paint would have made this go. Normally, I only have to do like 3, sometimes on, you know, colors that matte like a gray, I'll only do 2 coats of base. I mean, if I'm using a gray primer, and you know, if I'm doing black and I use a dark gray or a black primer, 2 coats, you know, is fine. This stuff, we are on our 7th or 8th coat, which it would have helped a little bit having a darker primer, but really that kind of changes the color, and I don't like shooting on black primer. It's just not my favorite thing to do. So I think this is going to turn out for what we're working with on the 1-to-1. 2-to-1, it would have definitely, this thing would be perfect on 2-to-1. I mean perfect. You would not see any of this in it. But I'm hoping the clear, this is my first time ever using 1-to-1. I always use 2-to-1 base and then 4-to-1 clear. I always add just a tad bit of reducer into my clear. A lot of times, depending on the weather and everything, it makes it lay a lot smoother, get more of a glassy finish if you want to lay it smooth. But yeah, no, I mean, I'm pretty happy with how it's turning out. I definitely wish we had 2-to-1 or 2-to-1 paint. We got the first coat of clear on. Looking good. Definitely gonna get our pop from the second coat, but for being first coat, this looks pretty good. Second coat of clear on the hood already. It's looking good. You can see the reflection of the windshield wiper right there. And then the reflection of the antenna right there. It's looking pretty good. We're gonna do 4 or 5 coats in total. This is only 1 coat on all over here. 1 coat of clear, as you can tell, it's really dull. But plus it'll get wet sanded and buffed. This thing is gonna look so good. So ready to see how it turns out. All right, so our final coat of clear is on. Thing turned out pretty good. I mean, I'm pretty happy with it. This ain't wet sanded or buffed, obviously. It's gonna look a lot better when it's wet sanded and buffed. But I mean, it's got quite the mirror finish right now, and not even wet sanded or buffed. I love how that roll pan turned out. I really think we're gonna probably wet sand this tomorrow or the next day with like 1500 or 2000, may even go to 1000, just because that, I think it might help with that lightness in areas. Doing that, wet sanding it down with 1000, getting it cut down, and then kind of smoothing it out, because I think it's honestly a little bit of orange peel in it right now, which just wet sanding and buffing would take out. But I'm doing this for a buddy and I want it perfect. Perfect mirror finish. He didn't want the body work perfect, but he does want that paint to last. So we're gonna probably end up re-clearing this after we're probably 1500 this, and I did that on my green dually, and that's honestly the way to get straight and, like, I mean, mirror finishes and paint jobs, is just by clearing them twice. You do 3 or 4 coats and then wet sand them down until you get all that orange peel out, and then it's almost like you're building up primer. It just slowly fills in any imperfections, and then that fine, after you wet sand that right as we have it right now, then we'll come back, re-clear it, probably 3 or 4 more coats, and that also builds it up to where you can wet sand this down to almost perfection. Because if you wet sand just a couple coats, you will burn through your clear coat pretty fast. So having a lot of coats stacked up, it builds a really thick layer, and you can get that straight mirror finish where you can, from 5 foot away, count and see your eye color in the paint job. Like, I mean, that is how we get them to that mirror finish, is by it taking the extra step and then re-clearing them. That will totally, like, change your paint game for sure. But I mean, if you don't really care that much, that just wet sanding and buffing that right now, that'll be probably better than factory paint. But if you want straight mirror finish, no orange peel, this is how you do it. And this, there is no orange peel in this truck at all. I mean, whatsoever. You can count your fingers from 5 foot away. There's no orange peel in this at all. That's how I like them. I don't like any orange peel in them. I like straight mirror finish. You can see the neighbor's house reflecting off of it. I mean, you can go over there in person, have someone hold up their hand, and then stand right here and you can count their fingers just right here. That's how mirror it is in person. But that's how we do it, is we clear them twice. We'll do 3 or 4 coats, wet sand them, and then come back in, do another, after it's wet sanded, 3 or 4 more coats, and then we'll wet sand that down again, and then finally do a buff and polish. And that is how you get that perfect mirror finish. Looks good. The truck looks in there amazing. There's no such thing as perfection, but I like my stuff, you know, as best as I possibly can. So why not try and wet sand this down and go again? I definitely am not a fan of that 1-to-1 paint though. You definitely get a little bit of light spots, and I mean, there's nothing we can do about it. We're committed, ran out of paint, and once you run out of paint, you gotta kind of keep going and just roll on. We got like 7 or 8 base coats on this, trying to fill this stuff in, and it will not. I mean, it looks good though. It's just not perfect, and I wanted it to be perfect, but I personally didn't buy the paint. And once you're kind of rolling, you can't just go, here, let's wait a day. Like, I mean, you don't want to wait too long in between coats or you'll run into a lot of problems. So we kind of just shot it, and I'm happy with how it looks. I think he'll be happy with it, but it's just only probably no one's gonna notice but me probably, and that's just because I'm very picky with it. But I think it'll be good enough. What you think, John, man?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Looks good. I'm ready to see it wet sand and buffed, ain't you?
Oh yeah.
So you can count your fingers in it. It's just not the same. You know what I mean?
Look at it. You can even see me.
Look at that reflection. It's gonna look good. It's gonna look really good when it's done. I definitely think we're probably gonna do the next step of clear, just because I want to do it for him, because I know he says he's not going to take this thing to show, but I already know he is. And my name, everyone knows that I painted this, so I want to, you know, do the best I can with what I'm working with. But you can only do so much, you know. But I love it. Looks awesome. So we got that truck done today. Probably going to call it a video. I'm trying to get this video up today because I got more plans for more videos coming very soon that I need to get working on. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. There's a lot of parts that I missed that I just didn't have time to record. A lot of the body work that really didn't get shown. But if you guys want to see more of that stuff, let me know. But for this video, I think we're going to call it good. Thanks for watching.